attention to. Flashy thing. We'll be right back.
Is the president still associated with Michael Cohen? Is he continue to consider Michael Cohen someone he holds in confidence?
I know that the president has worked with him as a personal attorney. Beyond that, I don't have anything else to add about
these developments.
Is Cohen still the president's personal attorney?
I'm not sure, Joe. I'd have to check.
I wanted to ask.
I can only speak about White House staff.
Really? That artful dodge came same day the Justice Department revealed that the president's personal lawyer and longtime fixer, Michael Cohen, is under criminal investigation for his business practices. The New York Times reports that on Friday, Donald Trump did the one thing you should never do when your lawyer is under criminal investigation. He called Cohen just to, quote, check in. As attorneys for both men went to court to try and stop federal prosecutors from using materials seized during Monday's raid of Cohen's offices and his hotel room. And joining me now, Stormy Daniels' current attorney, who we know is still her attorney, Michael Avenatti, and civil rights attorney Lisa Bloom. Okay, there's so much. I literally was going through all of my elements here, Michael, trying to figure out where to go first because so much has happened in the last just 24 hours. So CNN reports that the FBI has seized recordings between Michael Cohen and the former attorney for your client. What does that mean to your case and or the federal case?
Well, it's very disturbing, obviously, to me and my client that Michael Cohen would be making recordings between himself and Mr. Davidson, my client's former attorney. And so we're going to get to the bottom of whether those recordings actually exist. If they do exist, that may give us grounds to file yet another action against Mr. Cohen for those recordings. But, you know, it's pretty outrageous that you have an attorney that is engaged potentially in illegal recording of conversations. Not only that, it's stupid. Yeah. It's just flat out stupid. I mean, I am constantly amazed with each passing day of the lack of intelligence that has been demonstrated by this man, this attorney, Michael Cohen. And I'm even more amazed that this is the guy that the President of the United States would pick as his fixer.
Yeah, and Mr. Davidson, is he California-based? Because there's also the question of whether whether recording those calls was even legal, right?
Yeah, it's not even a question. So those of us who are in California, we have the right not to be recorded. You can't go to another state and do the recording. Right. California law is very clear. Yeah. So this is like a criminal taking a picture of himself while he's committing a crime, right? If you are recording somebody in California and you're saving those recordings and the FBI now has them, Michael's absolutely right. That is ridiculously stupid.
Let's talk a little bit about Mr. Davidson, Keith Davidson. He's represented your client, Stormy Daniels, Ms. Clifford. He's represented Karen McDougal, the former Playboy playmate, who claims that she had a months-long affair with Donald Trump, and the unnamed woman involved in an alleged affair and abortion that took place with a gentleman named Mr. Broidy, who is an RNC fundraising vice chair. He represented all these women. Is it your client's contention that when he was representing her, he was representing her, in a sense, on behalf of Donald Trump?
Not yet.
Okay.
We don't have enough information to make that inference, and our focus right now is not necessarily on Mr. Davidson, but our focus is on Mr. Cohen and Mr. Trump and their conduct as it relates to my client, their efforts to intimidate her, strong-arm her, and to cover up the payment to her. That's our focus right now.
Yeah, and to stay with this just for one moment, this fundraiser named Elliot Broidy, which has nothing to do with your case, but who it seems that Michael Cohen also arranged payments for and also arranged an NDA, which seemed to be very similar to the NDA that Ms. Clifford signed. So similar that David Dennison, the fake name used for Donald Trump, and Peggy Peterson, the fake name used for Stormy Daniels, were also used in that other case. If this was a boilerplate NDA that was just being farmed out to multiple women, does that weaken the NDA that your client signed?
Well, I think it may, but it is unclear as to whether it's boilerplate from Mr. Davidson or if it's boilerplate from Mr. Cohen. You know, I broke that story on Thursday night on Twitter when I announced the fact that Mr. Davidson or Mr. Cohen, in fact, had negotiated another NDA on behalf of this GOP donor, and then the Wall Street Journal the next day printed the article. I mean, I think there's a lot of similarities. There's a pattern of practice here, at least as it relates to Mr. Cohen, and I'm confident that we're not talking about 2 or 3 or 5 or 7 different women. We're going to get well into the double digits when it's all said and done, and I'm confident that the documents that have been obtained by the FBI in connection with these raids are going to show there's a lot of women.
And that which brings me back to you, Lisa. If Michael Cohen, in his capacity as vice finance chair of the Republican National Committee, is arranging multiple payoffs to women, and in his capacity as Donald Trump's, we're not sure what, because he formally became his lawyer after Trump became president. Before that, he was a member of the Trump organization. He worked for Trump. If he's arranging multiple payoffs, does the source of the money become a problem for him legally? Does the payoff mill, if that's what it is, become a problem for him legally? How much trouble is Michael Cohen in?
Yes. So listen, as attorneys, we have very strict rules about handling money, handling client funds. And of course, when there's a campaign for president, there's campaign finance rules that apply, which have to be complied with. And apparently he's being investigated for that. And I also want to say that attorney-client privilege applies only to conversations between an attorney one-on-one with a client. It doesn't apply to Michael Cohen talking about somebody else's case, to some third party. It doesn't apply to his phone calls with third parties. I mean, that's all completely discoverable and available to the FBI.
And I want to just really quickly read Elliot Broidy's statement. Mr. Cohen, he said the following: Mr. Cohen reached out to me after being contacted by this woman's attorney, Keith Davidson. Although I had not previously hired Mr. Cohen, I retained Mr.